So, going back to Ragnarok, um, now I already posted all of my attempts for the Valkyrie Queen on my channel, which includes the actual winning attempt. And here is just going to be the video of just the winning attempt. Um, I will say, I in no way felt like this one was as difficult as the first Valkyrie Queen, but some of that is because I'm much better at the game than I was before. Also, because I've learned enough of the different patterns from various enemies, including the original Valkyrie Queen, to where like I could more easily deal with like their tells and that sort of thing, know how to avoid or how to, in some cases, parry, and then it's also just being better at making good use of my skills and so on and so forth. And this one definitely had a bunch of new tricks that the original Valkyrie Queen did not have. Um, but I also had like more moves at my disposal, and I don't know, just in general, I found that it was still a hard fight, but this is not the one I struggled with the most in the game. I counted up my total number of attempts that it took me to beat the Valkyrie Queen, and if you include the times where I cut the fight short early, like in some cases, I started up the fight, I messed up at the very beginning, and then I just went ahead and restarted from the beginning of the checkpoint because I was like, okay, if I'm messing up this badly at the very beginning, it's just going to make it really difficult for me to get the things done I need to get done initially to get the fight started, to get the fight started right. And so those times, as well as a couple times where I just like I had to get revived less than halfway through the fight. I'm just like, okay, this is not good enough. This is not going to work. I'm going to need to retry this. And so I went ahead and just restarted a few times. But it took that was 24 total times that it took me, including those times where I canceled the fight early before getting super far into it. The actual number of deaths I had were 18. So, at least, well, I should say the actual number of deaths, not counting the ones where I died and was about to be revived and stopped and restarted the fight. So, because I don't really count that as an actual death because it's not the end of a fight. I mean, it's like I could still keep going if I wanted to. I just wasn't confident that if I was dying that early in the fight that I was going to be able to get through on a partial health bar for the remaining portion of the fight. So, but yeah, I think it was a fantastic fight. I'm not sure if I could immediately do it again. Like if I had the ability to attempt the fight again, I don't know that I necessarily would be able to get through it on a single attempt. I would probably fail a bunch. But this time that I fought her, I did well enough to where I was actually able to get the victory I was looking for. And unfortunately, that wasn't quite what I needed in order to get the platinum trophy equivalent because it turns out that there was I think just one other relic I was missing that I had to get from an area I'd already visited, but I had missed the relic. And then there was I feel like there was one other thing I needed. But either way, I did get through the fight, and I'm very proud of having completed that. And then I was able to get the platinum equivalent shortly after. I will say the platinum trophy does not pop on PlayStation if it does not bring up the other trophies, and they still have not fixed the issue. And I'm waiting to hear back to see if they say anything about whether or not the achievements you earned while playing on Steam Deck can still get you the trophies on PlayStation. If not, then I guess I just won't have the trophy on PlayStation. I mean, it's annoying that it would be done like that because with Ghost of Tsushima, anytime that sort of thing came up, I didn't have that problem. Like if I got the trophies on Steam Deck on Ghost of Tsushima, or I mean if I got the achievements on Steam Deck, then as soon as I logged in on PC, those trophies would pop. So I don't know if this is something that they are going to fix or not. I hope they do, because I don't know, I just would like to be able to have that, but if not, then oh well, no big deal. I still got all the achievements for that. So when I finished that, I went straight into Valhalla, which is the DLC that follows, that is story-wise. I mean, it does actually have its own story. It follows after the events of the main game.
So if you have not finished the main game, don't go into Valhalla because it does spoil major story points. And as I mentioned before, Valhalla is a Hades-like kind of thing. So to give kind of a basic summary of how Valhalla works, like I said, it's very much a Hades roguelike / roguelite sort of thing. And basically you go in with nothing. You start off, you don't have any of the original armor that you had. You don't have any of your gear, or well, you maintain like your weapons, and your weapons are technically still fully leveled up. But in terms of like all of your stats, your attack, your HP, your rage, all of that is reset down to the base level that you normally would start the game with. And you don't get to bring in any of the armor that you had before, any of the accessories that you had that helped to improve stats or gave you certain perks that would aid you in how you played. So really all you have is whatever things that you already obtained, like skills that you obtained using experience points previously. So with all of that, you as you go through, in fact, actually, when you go in, you're technically not going in with any armor. You're just, at most, you can do cosmetics to make it look like you're wearing a certain set of armor, which is fine, but it's not really all that helpful. But what does work with this is that as you go through, just like with Hades, each time you complete an encounter, you have a chest that you can open, and that chest will give you choices of different perks that you can choose, and those different perks give you different skills that will aid you in getting through. And obviously, you can kind of just build your character with whatever perks you want to have. And a lot of these perks are things that would normally have been tied to armor sets or to accessories that you used previously, particularly the amulet that you had that could have a bunch of different gems attached to it as you upgraded it. And those gems would give you different perks to a degree. But then additionally, like normally you would get perks from certain hilts that you would equip on your weapons and things like that. So like a single run takes roughly about 40-ish minutes. I recorded the one that's being shown right now is the one I did earlier this evening just for recording sake, and I did a full run. And for the story, from the story standpoint, you have to complete 4 full runs in order to get all of the story beats that are attached to this DLC. So technically you get through the entirety of Valhalla, at least in terms of the story aspects, in about 4 to 5 hours. But in terms of, I mean, whether that's enough for you kind of just depends on your personal taste. The way I ended up doing it is I went through and I went and I didn't obtain all of the different character upgrades, because you can unlock certain permanent upgrades that like increase your maximum HP, increase your maximum rage, your strength, and so on and so forth. But I haven't earned all of those yet. However, I did do everything that enabled me to get all of the achievements. So I have every single achievement you can get. Now, something I do want to note with this, the end of each run, you have to face Tyr, who is the Norse god of war. And each time you face him, his weapon that he uses, as well as his attack set associated with that weapon, is different. So depending on which weapon he's using, that determines what attack set he has. And each time you face him, he's more difficult than the last, at least up until you've faced the 4th version of him. once you get past that fight, then every time after that, it continues to be the same difficulty. So the fourth and onward, he's always going to be a purple health bar, so basically the equivalent of 2 levels above you. I'm not sure if that changes once you like fully upgrade all of your HP and so on and so forth, but I'm guessing it probably doesn't. And I mean, he's difficult, but I wouldn't say he was anywhere near as difficult as many of the other bosses. I'd say he's basically on par with most of the story bosses, where he's not so difficult to where I really felt like I had to fight him multiple times. Of the times that I fought him, there's only been one time where I actually lost the fight and got reset back to the very beginning of the whole thing. Because otherwise, basically, the way that it works is you finish the fight against him, and he's, the boss at the end. And it ends up being very similar to like Hades, except instead of dying and then going back to the beginning, you just basically like black out and then you wake up back at the beginning. And then once you get all the story stuff, you just go back to the beginning each time you beat him. But the only time that I actually lost to him it wasn't even him that killed me. It was one of the elite enemies, this centaur that he summons, because like when he gets down to about halfway on his health, he summons enemies to help him out. And depending on which weapon he's using determines which types of enemies he's summoning, of course, which types of attacks he uses, what type of gimmicks are going on with the arena, and that sort of thing. So there was only one time that I actually lost to him on that last fight. And I actually got really close. I got him down to like just a tiny bit of health left, and I should have been able to take him out. But I messed up, and so I didn't. And then I had to do another run, and then I was able to get it after that. And since then, I've fought him multiple times, even though I finished the story portion, and I have not lost to him again. Part of it is also because of the fact that you can do resurrection stones even though you don't have a companion to help you out, and so you end up with having basically you have different. I'm sorry, let me back up. When it comes to the resurrection stones, you start with just one that you can get, and then as you go, you can also get a second one. But then late in the stage, like right before the actual boss arena, you can purchase another one. So you can have up to 3 total, which means basically that you would have a really difficult time losing. I mean, if you're really bad, or if you just don't quite have the skills, or you're rusty because you haven't played God of War in a while, then yeah, I could see you dying more. But like if you just finished going through the entirety of Ragnarok, like I did, and you've beaten all the optional bosses, all the berserkers, the Valkyrie Queen, everything, then you're probably not going to have a whole lot of difficulty. So what I ended up doing was, I mean, of course, I got all the achievements and stuff. Something interesting related to that, though, if you stay in the final area long enough before facing the boss, there's an arena that opens up where you can face like an extra difficult enemy. And at least so far for me, it's been berserkers every time. So I've only fought 2 of them so far, and I think they were some of the lower tier ones. But like I didn't have any trouble with them, even though they were higher level than me. I knew their attacks so well to where I didn't really have a lot of difficulty being able to avoid them, despite the fact that I definitely don't have the advantages that I have in the base game with all the specific gear and the way that my build was set up and everything. It's just kind of like I just have to work with the rolls that I get as I'm going through with the different perks and all of that. So, but it was kind of cool fighting 2 berserkers separately and not having any real difficulty with them. The one thing I will mention is that I know for a fact that you can fight the Berserker King again, and I think theoretically with 3 Resurrection Stones it should be pretty doable. But man, I don't know how much I want to fight him again. I mean, like I feel like I could definitely handle it, but it's going to be harder without having a companion necessarily, but at the same time, the fact that I could get revived potentially 3 times would definitely make it easier from that standpoint. So I don't know. It's one of those weird things where it's hard to say how easy it would be to get through. Um, yeah, it's just definitely interesting thing from that perspective. But yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot more to say about it other than the fact that I really, really enjoy that mode. Um, I definitely think that when it comes to my 24-hour stream that's coming up soon, if I am struggling with staying awake, I will probably jump into Valhalla, because jumping back into that will be a great way to wake myself up, because it's a good way to get the blood pumping, and a run doesn't take super long. So um, I think at least for now, I'm still keeping the game installed on my computer, even though it takes up a lot of space. But I did uninstall it from my Steam Deck, so there's that.